Thank you. A bit of Robbie Williams and Kylie Minogue there to introduce you to this event, a whole business week event on social mobility. Can I welcome all the people on live stream? There are millions of people watching us around the world. Wow, there's a few. In case you're wondering about this term, social mobility, I'll tell you the dictionary definition. The dictionary definition of social mobility is the movement of individuals, families, households, or other categories of people within or between layers or tiers in an open system of social stratification. You understand that? I certainly don't. So what the kid done good is trying to do is put that into words that everyone can understand and into experiences and role models that people can understand. I think it's better explained by our local champion of social mobility, Paul Sewell, when he wrote to today's participants setting up today's event. Paul said, "It's more important than ever that our country wastes not a single bit of talent by discounting people at any stage of their lives on the grounds of social class or lack of educational attainment." I think that sums it up nicely. And the problems were of an absence of social mobility were actually best described by one of Hull's adopted sons, Philip Larkin. I'm going to give you a bit of poetry now, talk about culture. Philip Larkin wrote a poem in 1972. He was 12 stories up at Hull Royal Infirmary, looking down at the streets below. And those streets then, described by Larkin, were short terrace streets where kids' short games and girls with hairdos fetched their separates from the cleaners. And Larkin lamented, this was his words, "O world, your loves, your chances are beyond the stretch of any hand from here." So what he was saying is none of the kids living in those slums down below are ever going to make anything of their lives. And I think what everyone here today and the businesses in Hull that we're going to talk about and the people we're going to talk to are determined that wherever kids live in Hull, the opportunities are never beyond their grasp. They will all be able to fulfil their potential. Now what's going to happen now, I'm going to bring 12 icons, so that's the same number of candidates for the Tory party leadership out here, none of which include any candidates for Tory party leadership. And I'm going to show you a photograph of when they were a kid. You can start thinking who they might be, but you have better luck than me. I'll tell you something about what they were like as a kid, and then I'll tell you something about what they've done now that they've done good, to forgive the English grammar. And we're going to start off with this kid, 11 plus failure, hence went to Cottingham Secondary Model School. He was set to work with his hands, that was the best he could possibly expect. He was expelled in 1970. He was a professional footballer, very talented footballer. His pro football career ended with a broken leg aged 19, so he had to look for something else. Working on his dad's fruit and veg market stall with his siblings didn't interest him. He's done good, first class degree, Leeds University, chartered builder, chair and owner of Sewell Group, our host today, so we had to invite him really. Honoured by the Queen and by Hull University. Dr. Paul Sewell, OBE. So we're going to ask you, the same as all the other Hull icons who come here, one question now. What was the game changer in your life?
Well, when I failed everything as a kid, it was all going to be okay because I was going to be a professional footballer. So when that broken leg happened, at the same time they diagnosed me with an eye problem, which meant I was going to be blind by the time I was 30, I had to gamble, do something different. So I got my skates on and made sure I did something different. Could I just say, Alan, before I go and sit down, the icons in there made me go first because they're such divas, nobody wanted to go first. So the green room is full of divas, and I'll go and sit down beside no one.
Well the way things are going, you might get a game for Hull City. You never know. So, the kid, the next icon, raised by his grandparents in East Hull, a couple of miles from here. Lots of love, but little career aspiration or expectation. He loved his rugby league, though. And he's done good, the owner and managing director of top UK law firm, together with property and food and drink business. Owner of the club he watched as a boy, the Super League rugby club, Hull Kingston Rovers. People from West Hull, just keep quiet at this stage. He is Dr. Neil Hudgell. Right, I'm going to ask you the same question. The one thing, the game changer, that you think changed your life.
Game changer, it's not a headline maker, it's not long sentences of imprisonment or trouble. I think what sort of changed my life a little bit was I got to 16, 17, I found alcohol, I found the pub, I found chasing girls, and what I didn't do is what my contemporaries did, which was get the work, get the education, home life, entertainment balance right. They carried on, got qualified, I got a job, and it wasn't a great job, so I picked up the first pay packet, and I thought, I'm going to be picking this pay packet up for the next 40 years unless I do something different. But what compounded it is, when I picked the pay packet up, I went outside, and the bike had been nicked. And the same weekend, I was off to Sheffield seeing my mates at college, and they were having a whale of a time, but they were advancing, and I was stood there in the same position, facing that for a lot of years. So I thought, I've got to do something here. So went back to night school, got qualified, became a lawyer, and done all right.
You've done fine. And you want to reward the guy who nicked your bike again.
Yeah.
Well done, Neil. The kid, born as a Ford Anglia behind him there, born and brought up on Fleetwood Council Estate in Lancashire. Mum was a cleaner, Dad was a lecky, an electrician. They made his toys, Dad made his bike, Mum sewed red ribbons on his t-shirt to give him his team stripes, which was Fleetwood Town. He's done good. He's the editor-in-chief of the #1 selling newspaper in Yorkshire, our very own Hull Daily Mail, and other newspapers which together hold over 20 national and regional awards. He's a founder member of the City of Culture Board and the City Leadership Board. It is, of course, Neil Hodgkinson, editor of the Hull Daily Mail. Neil. Game changer.
Game changer. I think probably in my life, probably about 34 of them. But the two earliest ones was actually for a council house kid to pass the 11 plus was actually something unusual. So while it was a daily reminder that I came from a poorer background than most of my pupil friends, it also gave me an insight and look at exactly how you could achieve things. If I'd remained in my little council house bubble, that I probably wouldn't have known I could achieve that sort of thing. So that gave me a bit of fire to do better. And then the second one was about 17 years of age when I went for a traineeship as a journalist for a big group that used to run the Yorkshire Post and Yorkshire Evening Post, which was their biggest paper in those days. And I got turned down. I wasn't good enough. And I was just cast aside. 16 years later, I was editor of their biggest paper. So that gave me the chip on shoulder. And it was
excellent.
great.
Well, Number 4, the kid, brought up by his mother on a York council estate. Abusive schooling created literacy and numeracy issues. Failed 11 plus again. Again, because so many of our icons here failed their 11 plus. I'll explain to you pupils later what the 11 plus was. Many of us went through it. And he also failed a plumbing apprenticeship. Done good, business consultant to over 90 businesses in the UK and Australia over 40 years. Built and then sold that company as a multi-million-pound business. A master's degree, he's an author, he's a BAFTA winner, He's the founder of For Entrepreneurs Only in Hull. From plumber to professor, Professor David Hall. David, what would you say was the thing that changed your life?
It was a look on my mother's face when I told her I'd failed my 11 plus. And I think something went up here and said, I'm going to show you that I'm okay. I'm going to prove to you that I'm okay. She's been dead 20 years, I'm still trying to prove to her I'm okay. So the other thing was, when I went to a career guidance, I was a plumber, or a failed plumber. Some certification guidance in London. And they said, oh, you should be a management consultant. What the bloody hell's on there? So I decided to be a management consultant. That was the first time anybody put their arm around me and said, I'm okay. So those two things together, I think, will be it.
You're okay.
All right.
Number 5, the kid. Yet another 11 plus failure who also spent his secondary education bottom of the class. There he is there. God knows what he's holding up there. Done good. In classic entrepreneur fashion, he created his own business, originally run from his front room, but not now. Now his office is number 1 Humber Keys, possibly the best located and most desirable office in Hull. He is Charlie Spencer, OBE and FICE, owner and chair of Spencer Group, chair of governors, Ron
Okay, so just a bit of background. When I was at school, like you kids, if someone stood in front of the blackboard, I'd go asleep straight away. Right, so consequently, I ended up in Beverley Shipyard, crawling around the double bottoms in the middle of winter.
Is that where that was?
No, well actually, but anyway,
Okay.
close. And I remember thinking, if only I'd become a postman, I'd probably have nice people on the round, cupboard say, sandwich here and there, but I didn't. So as part of the shipyard experience, I've learned 2 things, haven't I? Part of the shipyard experience, you go to technical college, and I genuinely thought I was absolutely stupid because I was literally bottom of the class in everything. And the guy pulled me out, one of the lecturers pulled me out and said, I don't think you realise it, but actually you're quite clever. And I thought, oh, nobody said that to me before. And I thought, well, I took it on board. I went and got a maths O-level book, and I found that I could teach myself. So you can't teach me because I fall asleep, but I can teach myself, and I suspect quite a lot of you kids are like that. The other thing I noticed a few years ago, which I thought was really good, was I saw a young lady wearing a t-shirt and it said, I'm as good as you. And we're all different, but we're all equal. And I thought that was very powerful, that I'm as good as you, because it means that basically I can do anything I want. I'm not better than you, but I'm as good as anybody else. So that's what I think.
Sound advice. Thank you very much. Now, we're now going to go by video to another Hull icon. There's been far too many chats. We need to talk to a woman. And here we have, from Spain,
Hope to see you soon.
Michelle is with us in spirit. The next kid, number 6, a nice lad, but won't achieve educationally, is what his primary school teacher told his parents when he finished 25th out of 26 in his class. He became a nurse in the NHS. Now, done good, he employs a lot of nurses and a lot of other health professionals in the largest and most successful health provider in the area, the £120 million employee co-owned community interest company, Community Healthcare Partnership, CHCP. He is Andrew Burnell, MBA, MA, BSc, Honours, RGN, RGM, RHB. Oh, that was after your name used up the dictionary there. So tell us what your game changer was.
I was just thinking when I was out there how I'll follow that last presentation, because the only thing I've ever appeared on is Crime Watch. So that's not a bit standard. I haven't really, by the way.
You didn't nick his bike, did you?
The picture there, I want to really focus on that. That's 1969 Rosebud in Victoria in Australia. So I went across on a £10 trip with mum and dad, because my dad couldn't get any work. He was a brickie. My mum couldn't get a job, and basically they were offered a new beginning in Australia. I lived in a transient camp, and my mum, I think, absolutely blames herself a lot for my educational unattainment as a young lad, because we were looked after in terms of our education in a school where there were no English-speaking teachers. Everybody basically was like us. They'd come to get a new life. So when I came back, I was quite dim, really. Always get on with it, you're a bright lad. But I actually took that bit that teacher said, which was the caring bit. He's a caring lad, and I just became a nurse, and that was the thing that's catapulted me to where I am now, because I am not that little kid there anymore. I am absolutely just a product of all that different experience I've had over all those years of looking after people, everybody from somebody in asylums, all the way through to the community, and then managing a lot of those professionals as well. And being a professional yourself has taught me a great deal. So just because I'm a bloke doesn't necessarily mean, and the senior lads here, being a nurse is one of the best things you can be, because it's caring as well as it gives you a real broad outlook on life. And I think that's what's helped me be successful now, because it's about caring for people that you work with and caring for the communities in which you work. So that's what drives me.
And the girls can end up as chief executive, like you.
Of course, I think it can.
Cheers. Right, see if you can guess who this is. The dad was unemployed between various jobs. Mum, factory cleaner in Lancashire. Money a struggle. They went without, so the kids didn't have to. No particular educational aspiration, as nobody in the family had ever been to university. She's done good, graduated as an economist from the University of Glasgow, chartered director, one of only 1,500 people in the world who are chartered directors and who hold this prestigious qualification, former chief executive of City Care, managing director of Shared Agenda and director of Sewell Group, Joe Barnes.
Well, for me, I was all right at school. I wasn't at the top of the class at school, but I think I came from a family that did go to university, not my family that got to university or anything like that. And I always remember my mum and dad coming home from parents' evening, and my dad was laughing. I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "We've just been taken to one side by your English teacher and told off." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, she took us to one side and she didn't stop talking to us for half an hour, saying how we had to let you go to university, that we should not stop you from going to university." And he said, "I never even knew that you wanted to go, love." And I said, "Well, I didn't know I wanted to go myself, Dad." And he said, "If you go to university, can you even get a job doing that?" This is my dad, he didn't have a clue, And true enough, she did that. She sort of had that moment that was a game changer for me, because it made me think, oh, well, maybe I could do something different than just, you know, just leave school at 16 or whatever. And then she made a point all the way through school of shining a bit of a light on my English lessons. And my best friend at school was always top of the class in every subject. But I got the light shone on me on English, and I got the English prize when I left school. And it made me think, maybe I could do something different, and maybe I could do more than what I thought. And yeah, so Miss Conlon, thank you very much.
This kid lived in 18 different houses by his 21st birthday, attended 8 different schools, struggled with his education and confidence because he was always the continual new kid, having moved around so much. His father went to prison when he was 14 years old, and the family were left bankrupt, homeless, and lost everything. Done good, became the youngest ever director of Associated British Ports. As port director in Hull, he was massively involved in getting Siemens to locate here. Then became chief executive of Hull City Council, in charge of 5,000 staff providing services to the people of Hull. He is Matt Dukes. Well done, Matt. What the hell happened to me? Still got a chance. Tell us your game changer. What changed your life?
Well, I think obviously you've given a bit of a background, so I wasn't a very confident young person, and I think probably lots of young people aren't particularly confident in school. I didn't do very well academically. I struggled, moved house a lot, so I was not confident in my own abilities, and I didn't really see a way forward for me. And what really changed was I managed to scrape a place at college, through the skin of my teeth. And I had to pay to go through it. So when I was at college, I did it like a job, because I thought actually this is an opportunity to make something very different. I wasn't academic. And I got a really good result at college as a result of all of that work. And actually that gave me confidence. It wasn't the fact that I got my college qualification, it was the self-confidence. And I think the one thing I would say to people is, have confidence in your own abilities. That starts people have stuff to do with you, employers, your friends, your family. Have confidence, because as Michelle was saying, everybody is good at something. You've got to find what it is, but have confidence in your own abilities. Set yourself a path and a plan. It doesn't matter if you don't stick to it. Goodness knows my career's been all over the place all these years, but I've enjoyed doing what I'm doing. So I think it's that self-confidence, and use that as the starting, as the foundation on which to build everything else.
Sound advice. Thank you. The next kid was a preschool mill kid. Bailiffs constantly knocking at the door. Had 3 jobs at the age of 16 to ensure that food was on the family table. No real opportunity to influence where her life was going. Certainly no opportunity to go to university. She done good. She is now chief officer of 2 local NHS organisations in Hull and North Lincolnshire. She is the chair of the hospital review body for 1 million potential patients. She is Emma Latimer. Early interest in forestry there. So, what was the game changer?
The game changer, I think you've already explained, didn't have much opportunity growing up, had 3 jobs, so became quite responsible at an early age. And there was a lady that lived around the corner who worked for the civil service, and I thought that was a really professional, responsible job. And she said to me, I think you'd be great at it, you're really sensible, you're really practical. Don't look very sensible, up there. So I applied, I went to the careers office, they had them in those days, and I managed to get 8 GCSEs. Yes, I am actually young enough, old enough. And basically I got the first job. It was a job in the NHS, as a clerical officer. I worked for 13 women in an office, which was fun. And I became chief executive of the NHS at the age of 40. I never ever for 1 minute thought I'd ever get there. I believed in myself. I was able to get education whilst I was in the job. But to look back now, I never ever thought for 1 minute I'd be in this position. I feel very humble up here today in front of you and alongside these guys.
Well done, Emma. Thank you. places. The only question was to which prison. He avoided failure at school very cleverly by just not going. The family's fruit and veg stall was the height of his aspirations. He's done good. He's come here direct from fulfilling a dream of fighting at Madison Square Gardens. He's the British and Commonwealth boxing champion. He's a businessman with his health and well-being Barrow Boys Bar and Restaurant. He's a community champion. You've seen the bus outside with his local Box Clever Academy and the Box Clever bus. And before I introduce him, I just want to give you an excerpt of a video that will be much longer, but we've managed to get a world premiere here of an extract. I think he's put a suit on now, he's not still in his underpants. Tommy Coyle! Now Tommy, just before I ask you what changed your life, I think we've got Lewis Sylvester sitting in the front row here, who is the first graduate from your Box Clever Academy.
Yeah, this kid, he'll be the next superstar, I think, in from Hull in terms of boxing. This kid's got it all. I still don't know how to listen to instructions in a boxing ring, but this kid, you know, got it all. You tell him to do something, and he's got the ability to do it under pressure. I've got real high hopes for him, and he quotes. Sorry if I offend you, but this is a quote. He quotes, he only come in the gym because it was fucking freezing. It was fucking free. Apologies for the language, but we'll know how it was a quote, I don't know which streaming live. Yeah, this kid's got it all, and it's all because the gym was free. And, you know, allowed to walk in with no barriers, and boxing's been a great vehicle for him.
Well, you've helped to change Lewis's life. Tell us what the game changer was for you.
Oh, geez, this sounds ridiculous, but I was in a gang when I was younger, and it's called the TNA gang. And you probably remember the store Foot Locker. We used to go to Foot Locker on a Saturday, and we'd get a TNA cap. And to be in this gang, you had to wear your TNA cap around pretty key on a Saturday. And whatever colour your cap was, you had to have the same colour socks, and you either had to wear Rockports or Nike Air Max, and you had to tuck your trackies in your socks. I was a bad chav, by the way. And anyways, we was in this gang, and a little bit like today's society, we was all wanting to be socially accepted for either being a tough guy or a wise guy. And when we weren't in the gym trying to be a tough guy, we was out on the streets trying to be a tough guy as well, and a wise guy, you know, battling in lumps with other gangs, other, you know, tough kids from schools, trying to, you know, get a reputation for being an hard case basically. And there was this one kid, God, could fight. He was called Liam Mulholland. He was the captain on the England squad for the boxing team, captain over Amir Khan. Now this kid, he'd hit you with a shot, and he'd throw a shot, and you knew it was coming, but you just couldn't get out of the way of it. This kid would have been a world beater, let me tell you. But he got arrested for stabbing somebody in the neck, and he did a load of time in prison. He's out now. He's working at Jackson's Bakery, and he had an horrific life. You know, he literally. But I'm doing this kid now. This kid was a lovely kid, but he just he's not went. And he brought his mum up. His mum was she abused drugs, but he looked after her. His dad passed away, and he was always respectful to my mum. He was a great person, but just made the wrong choices and the wrong decisions at the wrong time. And when this kid got arrested, I thought, do you know what? I'm not as skillful as him, but if I can just keep my nut straight and I can just stay on the right path, hopefully through a lot of hard work, sacrifice, and probably perseverance, I'll get there eventually. And you know, I'm still here.
You are indeed. Well done, sir. You wouldn't think he was fighting on Saturday night in Madison.
I used to be standing for a change.
Okay, our penultimate kid comes from a family of miners. Dad was a miner, mother was unemployed. He lived in a council house in Upton, West Yorkshire. He failed his 11 plus, no one. Only one out of the class, the only one out of the class of 20 to fail. He didn't read a book from cover to cover until he was 17 years of age. He had football trials for Leeds United but didn't get selected. He had rugby trials for Yorkshire but didn't get selected. Age 17, he was beaten up in the street by the twice light heavyweight ABA boxing champion of Great Britain. I suppose you're going to get beaten up by anyone. Age 18, his best friend hanged himself. He took up weight training and wanted to be a teacher. He's done good. Lives near the Humber Bridge. He writes plays and films. He's won a Laurence Olivier Award, 6 Los Angeles Drama Circle Awards, 6 Edinburgh Fringe Firsts, 8 Joseph Jefferson Awards in Chicago, and is professor at 4 universities. He's won 2 BAFTAs for a film he made in Hull in 2005, has written 70 published plays, just finished a very successful run at the West End and was awarded an OBE for his services to the arts in 2018. He was instrumental in building the new Hull Truck Theatre. He still trains with weights every day, and he is, I believe, the most performed living English playwright in the world. John Godber. Okay, what was the game changer?
A couple of game changers. One is I failed my 11 plus, as has been mentioned, and I didn't know you could do anything but be a minor. And I got some exam results from school, and I happened to see them. I saw 9 CSE grade 1s. We didn't do O-levels. We were really progressive. We did CSEs, and I saw 9 CSE grade 1s on the teacher's desk. And I ran home 3 miles to tell my mum. I said, Mum, I've got 9 CSE grade 1s. And she said, I don't believe you. So that was a major moment in my life. The secondary moment was I went to college to train to be a teacher. And there was a bloke there, was a playwright, very successful. I just had a play at the National Theatre. And I said, I'd like to be a playwright, I fancy that. What do you do? So I went up to talk to this bloke who was a playwright. And just as I was about to ask him, the tutor said, don't tell him. Don't tell him. I thought, well, that's a bit mean, not telling me.
let him find out himself. And it's taken me 43 years to find out what it is to be a playwright. What I would say finally is you've got to dream it. You have to dream it. And don't let anybody put you off. That would be my message.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce, finally, the woman who, in a sense, is the reason why we're here, because she devised this social mobility pledge, which we're going to ask all employers to sign, and which is an important initiative in the social mobility world. The kid was born in Rotherham on a council estate. She went to a local comprehensive school. She got to know early what social mobility was all about. She done good, first class honours degree and MBA, Member of Parliament for Putney since 2005, Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Secretary of State for Transport, Secretary of State for International Development, Minister for Women and Equalities, Secretary of State for Education, founder and pioneer of the Social Mobility Pledge, the Right Honourable Justine Greening MP. Please. Now, as you may have gathered, we are not of the same political persuasion, Justine and I, but we were both education secretaries. And on the issue of social mobility, we are as one. And I think Justine's done a huge amount for social mobility. But let me tell you, she was also, when she was Economic Secretary to the Treasury, the one person who ensured that our campaign to get the Humber Bridge tolls reduced to £1.50 was agreed by government. She is the heroine of the Humber Bridge. So, Justine, would you say it was a game changer in your life?
Probably two. I think the first one was going to university. I had no idea really what it was going to be like because no one else had done it in my family. But it just opened up this brand new world of different opportunities, different people. And then the second, to be honest, was meeting somebody called David Harrison, who helped me do the Social Mobility Pledge. And what I've discovered, sometimes if you get the right people in the right place at the right time, then it works and stuff happens, and that's partly why I'm able to be here today with the pledge doing so well and with Sewell Group being a big part of it.
Thank you, Justine. Can I invite you to address this audience, including the millions around the world?
Thank you very much. Well, it's been amazing listening to all of the other stories of everybody who's up on the stage, and we're going to hear a bit more from them later on. And I've nearly had as many jobs as Alan in government, not quite, but one of the one that I loved the most was education. And that bit of the job that I loved the most was just going around to schools, and you'd see all these children who are in the state system, just like I'd been all those years before, and you look at them and you just wonder who they are. What is this person that they are going to become and that they can become? And actually today you've sort of scrolled forward to see the future. But when you're doing education, you see the current and the present. And the reason for me, all the teachers I met were so inspirational, was they were these people who were shaping that talent right at the beginning. But I quickly realised that actually there was another group of people that could play an enormous role in shaping that talent later on. And that was the millions of businesses around our country that then take those people, hopefully keep developing them, and give them actually the opportunities to make the use of the talent that our schools are helping to develop. And I realised, in a way, what ties all of this for me together is the fact that it's about talent and potential. Like Alan, I ended up going into politics, and I think it's two things for me. One is I passionately believe that everybody is talented at least one thing. And in a sense, our education system and our country should allow them to find out what that is, what's their brilliant thing, and help them do it to their best of their ability. But the second thing, I think, for me is
it is about people. In a sense, believing in people is, I guess, my philosophy, because I think nothing changes unless somebody somewhere decides things need to be different. And in a way, that's what drove me to go into politics, because I think I steadily realised that maybe I shouldn't wait for somebody else to fix all the stuff in the country that I wanted to see different. Maybe I could do that, even though, again, nobody in my family had ever even joined a political party. I realised that why shouldn't I be one of the people that could help improve things? And so this issue, though, of social mobility that we're talking about today is one of the things that we've not been able to fix. All of that effort over all of those years, and all of us, in a way, the problem for Britain is that we're still the exception, when actually people starting where we started, doing what we could do, reaching our potential, that should just be normal. And so what we're all looking at is how can we make sure that when we look back in another 20 years' time, that for all of you, you really can reach your potential, and that actually it's not unusual to come from our background or Hull or wherever and do well. Actually, people should expect you be able to do the best that you can. And the social mobility pledge is about trying to mobilise businesses to really step into the breach and play more of a role strategically in transforming opportunities for more young people in more communities. Now, I would say at the moment, I think Britain works fine for about a third of the people who live here, because for them, there is opportunity on their doorstep. They can access it. They probably have got the schools that help them get into a position to make the most of the opportunities that are there. And I think the problem partly is that they think things are more or less all right, because they tend to be the people who go on and run most things in our country. So they haven't seen, if you like, this gap between what most people could do and what most people get to do. But I think for the other 2/3, which I count myself in, actually there is a big difference between what you may be trying to achieve, or even what you know you can achieve, and what you get a chance to do. And I think my point is that everybody loses out because of that. Not just that individual, but the community that they're part of, that doesn't ever really quite get to realise what that person could contribute if they could have the opportunity on their doorstep. And I think increasingly it's been our country that's missed out as well. Think about all those amazing ideas and businesses and jobs that would have been created if that other 2/3 had actually just had the chance to be themselves. And that's, I think, the big challenge that we've got for our country right now. Frankly, it doesn't matter what happens down in Westminster on Brexit. This issue will still be there, whatever path we end up taking. And so in a sense, for me, during the pledge, it was about really mobilising all those companies that can and want to do more. And the good news is that we've been doing the Social Mobility Pledge for a year, and I have met some of the most inspirational people that I have ever come across in my life. And many of them are running brilliant businesses. And it turns out that when you actually ask business what it can do to get more opportunity to more young people, it turns out the answer is quite a lot. And a lot of businesses have already stepped into the breach. And when we launched the pledge, what I was asking companies to do was 3 simple things. And it was in response to a question that they'd had, which is, well, how can we help? You know, you're saying you want to do more on social mobility, but what would that look like for us? And so I was asking them to commit to be in schools, talking to young people about opportunities, what their companies actually did, what careers were. It's very hard to aim for an opportunity if you have never even seen it. I never met a lawyer growing up in Rotherham. I never seriously ever thought about doing a law degree, because I had no idea what that was. And to be perfectly honest, it sounded quite boring. Now, I might have been right, I might have been wrong, but the thing is, you need to know about opportunities to even begin to start aiming for them in the first place. So I wanted businesses to be in schools talking to young people about what they do. The second thing I wanted them to commit to was to really open up their doors. So there's one thing about telling a young person about what being an accountant is like, what maybe becoming a playwright's like. There's another thing in actually seeing it in action and spending time getting a sense of what that business actually does or what that career is really like. So I wanted companies to open up their doors so that young people could literally come in and get a sense of it for themselves. And the third thing I wanted companies to commit to doing was having fair recruitment. So there is still too much screening out of rough diamonds, people who maybe aren't the normal kind of people this company normally recruits. All of that has got to stop. Because what's happening is we're seeing too much of a narrow recruitment base into the best careers in our country and not enough wide drawing of talent from across the board. And I can tell you, through the pledge I've been all over this country, through doing education I went all over the country, and there was never this community that was like popping out these amazing kids that had all the talent compared to others. Talent is everywhere in Britain. The challenge is just connecting it up with opportunity more easily. And the pledge has now been joined by hundreds of companies. I've called it a coalition of the willing. And a bit like the Sewell Group, which I'm going to come on to in a second, they are all companies who understand that they've got a much bigger role to transform opportunity for a younger generation of young people. And they understand that they can have a transformative role if they're willing to actually think more carefully about what that might look like. And that's, of course, how I came across Mr. Hull, as I think about him. Maybe that's wrong, Alan. Maybe you're Mr. Hull, I don't know. Paul Sewell. Because he, of course, was somebody that we steadily found was doing this amazing work through the Sewell Group and really was thinking differently in a way about the way that a company can be and its relationship with its community. And so what we wanted to do was not only celebrate that, but I think most importantly, start to share it with all these other companies that are part of this initiative and want to do more. And once we'd got underway with the Social Mobility Pledge, not only did we get lots of companies signing up saying, yeah, we'll do that. We might be doing one or two other things, we'll do the third thing, and we'll do that. They also wanted to know what everyone else is doing, because companies that really care about this want to do more. And so we've now started doing these, what we call insight reports, and this is the one from here, from Sewell. I just think it's the best one we've done so far. And it really sets out what happens in the Sewell Group, why it works, and some of the stories of the people who you can really relate to, because actually they've got life paths that are a lot like mine, frankly. And we're going to do more and more and more of this. So this is the 5th report we've done, but we're going to do tons of them. We're going to find the very best companies doing the smartest stuff on social mobility, who are reaching out and getting the best talent from the widest communities, and we're going to make sure that the whole of British business knows how to do this well. And then we're going to get on and make sure that more and more companies are part of this push to really get change on the ground. And I just really wanted to finish off by saying, I know that these long-term issues like social mobility can feel like it's almost impossible to really get change on the ground. It just is too overwhelming, it's too complicated, it's too long-term. But I think what I really wanted to say is, actually you can fix it. So here in Hull, there are some amazing businesses that could decide to become part of the pledge, learn from what Sewell Group's doing, and make a difference here. And in a way, that's enough. You don't need to change Nottingham. We're working with companies in Nottingham that are going to do more of this stuff too. If you can just change Hull, then that's enough. Because actually, if everybody does that in their community, then we end up with a really different version of our country, and one that is a way better version of the one that we've got today. So it is a million-piece jigsaw fixing social mobility, but don't worry about the other bits, just worry about your bit. But if you can take the responsibility and, if you like, the challenge to fix your bit, then that's a massive start, and that's how we'll actually solve this. I do think, for all of its paralysis on Brexit and the gridlock in Parliament, eventually Parliament will catch up. And we're going to get through whatever we end up doing on Brexit eventually. But on the other side, if we can actually get our act together, working with businesses and communities, perhaps when we finally get to that moment when politics is ready to get on with domestic stuff again, then maybe we can have a lot of the answers ready and already being done in many parts of the country. Maybe we can be ready to really motor, because we can learn from the communities and companies and places, hopefully like Hull, that are getting this right already. And all it takes to do this is a decision that we want things to be different. But if we are willing to say, right, it should be different and it needs to be different, then I think you genuinely can make a change. And the change has got to happen somewhere, and it's got to happen somewhere first. So my advice is, it might as well be here, and it might as well be Hull. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. Thanks for coming here today. And it's now going to be over to you. Q&A, comments, questions to either individuals on the panel, to Justine after that speech, tremendous speech, or asking a kind of generic question of the panel. While you're thinking of what questions you're going to ask, I'm just going to go through the icons again, and I'm going to ask them one more thing, which is their one piece of advice, succinct as possible, one piece of advice they would give on how to improve social mobility, if you like. Starting with Paul at the back.
Well, it was going to be do what you're great at, that's been mentioned 4 or 5 times today. I've just changed my mind whilst listening. I think you guys, it's a really simple, a really back to basics one, and it's about manners. Good manners cost nothing. They're everything. They get you everywhere. They make you emotionally attractive. And if you're emotionally attractive in this world, you're going to have a lot better chance of getting from there to over here.
There you go. Good manners from Paul. Neil?
Well, we sound incredibly old, don't we?
It's because you are, Neil. Basically.
I think it's him. He's actually quite simple. It's about basics, isn't it? It's about, we've heard all these buzzwords around hard work, passion, commitment. One thing that I'm still doing is learning. I learn off him, for example, and I think you can't believe that you know everything. And in a very on-theme topic of mental health, we all, from time to time, get ourselves in a tizzy. We fail an exam, we do something wrong, and we think it's the end of the world. What's important is to communicate and to talk and articulate and find the people that you can offload on, because any problem you've got, we've all had those problems, and a problem shared is a problem halved.
Thank you very much, Neil. Neil, next to you, Neil Hodgkinson.
I'll change mine now because I didn't realise we'd have youngsters in the audience, and I'll tell you what I tell my 19-year-old son who's just finished his first year at university. It's a bit like Paul's. It's actually work hard. I appreciate there's lots of YouTubers out there who seem to just do it like that, and he tells me about the millions of pounds that they earn. Doubtful. You know, what you have to do is work hard, be polite, get dressed for the interview, make sure you're the one who can talk well, smart, have a bit of a sense of humour, have a personality. It is allowed. Be a bit different from other people. Be a bit different, because there's a lot of kids out there can't do that at the moment. If you can be the personality and the person who shows they've got growth within them in the future, you're the one who'll get the job.
Well done, yeah. David?
Yeah, I'm with Justin really. I think 80% of people in the country are trying to do jobs which are totally unsuited because they don't really know what they're good at. So you can tell 5 to 5, no time to go home. You spend your life doing that, it's a waste. So my bit of advice was really find out what you're good at. Not like the lady Hon Alan school said, you're a big lad that you talk about the building industry and then you could become a plumber. Absolute rubbish. You need to find out, help people find out what they're good at and focus on that. Because if you're good at it, you'll enjoy it, you'll become a learner, and you'll actually grow. It's hard to sort of do that if you're trying to do things you're not going to do.
Excellent. Charlie?
Yeah, just two really. So one is be completely single-minded in what you want to do and be fearless as well and take risks, because you'll never achieve anything if you're not prepared to risk things at the same time. And you've got to remember you actually only ever fail when you stop trying. That is the only point you fail. You carry on. And the other one is, if you want an easy life, you don't necessarily need to trust everyone all the time. If you want an easy life, just think the best of people, because there's usually two ways you can think about people when they say something or whatever. Just think the best of people. That's it.
That's good. Does that count for Donald Trump as well? Andrew?
A lot of people have said it, but I just go back to what I said earlier. I think, you know, it goes a long way being caring, and actually caring for yourself and caring for each other. And I think that's really, really important, because in this world we tend to sort of like not do that as much as we used to. So I really do think, and I always say to all the people I work with and all the trainees and people who come through the businesses, it costs nothing to smile and it costs nothing to say thank you. And a lot of times we forget those very few things that actually will get you a long, long way, and somebody will remember you. Because I go back to the point that somebody will remember you because you're that one person that has actually sort of like acknowledged somebody and acknowledged what they've done or what they've said, or they've been kind to you, whatever. And that goes a hell of a long way, I think.
Good manners is a bit of a thing, starting off like and running through. Joe?
So I would say, watch out for those guardian angels, because you'll have some and you probably don't even realise. There'll be people on your journey that help you along, and you may not even realise. I know that I didn't until I've passed, you know, I was way past my English teacher that I mentioned. It was years before I realised what she'd done for me, and I've had bosses along the way, friends, people that I barely know that have put a word in for me, got me a connection, whatever it is. If somebody offers you a helping hand, and it took me years to accept it, I was always with the mindset, I can do this on my own, I don't need any help, and I was too mortified to ask for help, too embarrassed. If somebody offers you help, take it with both hands. As long as it's meant well and it's done in the right way, take it, because they just might give you that little boost that might get you onto the next level and the next level and the next level. And if you just watch for those people, because they're all around you and you probably don't even realise. It's very hard to accept help sometimes, but accept if it is offered.
Very true. She's getting more difficult the further you go. Because I mean, I think that point's very, very valid. You'll meet some people, and they'll help you along the way. I think it's a kind of combination of what everybody said. Work hard. Be nice. What success is very different to lots of different people. It's not just about earning £1 million. Actually, some of the most successful people I know working within the organisation, City Council, earn the least money and do the jobs that make the most difference to people. That's success in my book. And I think I'll go back to the other point, which is, people want to employ people, want to work with people they like. They want to buy stuff off people they like. It's life. Be the person that people like, and also have some confidence. Because actually, when you're starting out, it's all right when you've got a bit of a track record. You've done some jobs. You've got some experience. You're not in that point yet. You will be. Have some confidence in yourself, not arrogance, but have some confidence in what you can do, because that will come across.
Thank you very much, Matt. Emma?
It's getting very much difficult now. I think the thing for me is about value. So what is your value set? Again, don't be told to do something. If you don't believe you want to be a lawyer, then don't be a lawyer. Be what matters to you. Because I've worked in the NHS 30 years now, and what matters to me is that it's free at the point of views for anybody. It resonates with my values. So I don't go to work to make money. I don't go to work to look at the balance sheet. I go to work to try and improve people's lives. And the other thing I would say is, again, it comes back to the thing we've talked about around manners. And you can't teach people how to care. You can teach them how to put plaster on, you can teach them how to save somebody's life, but you can't teach people how to care. That comes from you and from within. And treat people how you'd want to be treated, because you never know when you might fall down. So you'd be nice to people on the way up, because you just don't know.
Good attitude qualities as well. Tommy, one piece of advice.
Fear not. Don't fear anything, and get used to the idea of you probably are going to fail along the way. And it's as simple as this, the law of average, okay? Law of gravity, if you throw something up in the air, law of gravity says it's got to come back down. Law of average is the same. If you keep working hard, you continue to make sacrifices, but above all, you continue to persevere, and you just refuse to lose it. No matter how tough it is, how hard you've got to grasp, you just don't give up, and you keep pulling names out of the hat, you just keep going and keep going. Eventually, the law of averages says you're going to get lucky, so just don't quit, just keep going, even if it hurts. No, seriously, honestly, my dad always used to tell me pain is temporary, it's an emotion. He wouldn't let me wear gloves as a kid, and we used to set the market stall up, and the stall bars were freezing. I said, "Oh, Dad, let me wear some gloves." And he said, "No," he says, "pain's an emotion." He said, "Just grab them and they'll get warm." And yeah, honestly, just don't give up. just keep going, go through it.
I do understand now why you didn't want to work on that market stall.
No.
I know your dad very well. It's good. John,
you?
Well, obviously I agree with everything that's been said. I would say two things. I would say be happy. And that segues into choosing the right thing to do. I think you keep swimming. I think it was Malcolm Gladwell, I think, who talked about 10,000 hours, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, one of the problems we have in this country, and I agree with everything you say, which is a shock for me because I've voted Labour all my life. I know, and to be this close. And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense, but I think this, that, you know, what we do in this country, we sponsor things once. You know, Alan Ayckbourn once talked about big firms sponsor theatre once. Then next time it's golf, or it's Formula One, or it's boxing, or it's badminton. And we need to encourage people to do things more than once. David Beckham didn't kick one football. I suspect you're not training once a week. I suspect you're training 3 or 4 times a day.
You just hit the nail on the head there.
Keep doing it. Over and over and over. And if it's writing plays, write a load. 2 of them are going to be good. You know? If you're boxing, keep boxing. If you're selling bananas, keep selling bananas. Keep swimming. Don't get off the boat. It's absolutely central. But make sure you're on the right boat. Because if you're on the wrong boat, you're going to come a cropper. So, you know, I think you be happy and believe in yourself. I absolutely agree with what you're saying about, you know, one of the years, and also stay real. I don't want to argue, but just one little story. When I won an Olivier Award in 1984, and I came out of the award ceremony on Drury Lane, and I rang my mum, and I'd just been given this award by Sir Anthony Hopkins. And I said to my mum, I've just won an Olivier Award for Up and Under. And she said, it's foggy in Upton. And that put me in my place. And I remember that on several occasions when you're in front of rich, famous, you know, lauded people. Actually, we're all human beings. And we all bleed.
Well done, John. Tommy, did you want to come back against our future Labour leader here?
Yeah, do you know what? I've got... I resonate with that because so a lot of people always want to be on the winning side, and it's pretty shit if you're on my side, because I know we're not but I've got 4 people sat up here which have continued sponsoring me, backing me, not just sponsoring but continue to mentor me and back me, and that's great. There's so many people what are pirates, I say, and the ship's about to sink, they jump ships. And there's 4 good people up here which have stayed on my ship, even when I have been knocked out, being beat. Don't jump off the ship, go down with the ship.
Thanks. Perhaps if you're seeking a nautical career. You're in Hull. Justine, do you want to?
Oh God.
One piece of advice. Apart from join Labour.
Things are almost certainly going to go really badly wrong quite often, and that's really normal. So most of all these success stories you'll always read about, they all sound amazing, but the reality is behind the scenes things have gone regularly tits up. And the time when you learn the most and grow the most is then. It's really easy to be brilliant when things are going well and it's going your way. The time when you really develop as a person, and I think find out who you are, is when it's the most rubbish time. And I think when you get to that point, you can recognise that that's where you're at, and that next week it might be better, tomorrow it might be better, and you just have to kind of keep trading through it. Do you see what I mean? Just don't give up then. If you can find an ability to trade through the tough times, then you'll be fine, because everyone else who doesn't know how to do that will fall by the wayside. But you'll be the one, as we've heard from people like Tommy, who's still standing. And often, doing well is just about not giving up for a while at times and waiting till it comes good again, and it surely will.
Thank you, Justine. Right, it's your chance now to ask questions and comments. Yes, lady there.
Lee Corner, Chair of Absolutely Cultured, which is the successor company to Hull 2017. I would just like to say that I'm delighted to see you up there, John. It's brilliant that we've got a playwright sitting in this group of people. Sometimes arts and cultural organisations aren't seen as businesses, but we are businesses, and we've got as much to add to increasing people's aspirations and ambitions than any other business. So we'd really like to get on and sign the pledge. Don't forget the voluntary sector, don't forget arts organisations when you get businesses together, because we want to be part of this.
And City of Culture was transformation in this city. Somebody over here had their hands up? Yes.
Justine, thank you for being in Hull today. Obvious question for you. Would you work with Boris as Minister of Social Mobility?
The short answer is I'm very clear about what I think we need to do on Brexit, but I just want a vehicle for changing Britain for the better on social mobility. So any role for me is, can I do that better than the pledge? Simple as that. And if the answer's no, then no, I'll keep doing the pledge. I was already a cabinet minister and I walked away from a cabinet job in order to set up the pledge and do what we're doing today. So for me, politics has always been about change on the ground. I really couldn't care less what my particular job is. And I'm happy to work with anyone from any party, I always have been, who feels the same way, and that's why Alan and I are here today. It doesn't matter. The more cross-party I think we can work, the better. If Boris is on for that, great, but I'd like him to join my thing.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes,
a couple
Charles.
of observations. Firstly, it just occurred to me that to hear what you're saying, you normally have to wait for people's funerals and eulogies to hear all this, but to hear it today from all you people is remarkably inspiring. I'll just give you, if I make my substantive point, the change in my life was when I heard the tale that behind every successful man is an astonished mother-in-law. And I thought I would be determined. I thought I'd be determined to astonish my mother-in-law. But substantively, Alan, you and me are involved with a charity that's doing fantastic work with 16 to 18-year-olds who come from the most difficult of backgrounds. And a high proportion of this panel has supported this charity. And I've been ruminating.
That's Cat Zero.
It's Cat Zero. I've been ruminating how it is that these young people, some who literally come through our doors from living on the streets. We had one girl living in a tent on the motorway and on the way in. I'm ruminating as these have all been talking, what has made some of these young people particularly move their lives forward as a result of the guidance. And the guardian angel, thought Joe, was very resonated. They obviously did that. And it occurred to me as you were all talking, what these young people have done at that moment in their life was to recognise the opportunity they've been given. And I suspect all of these young people will have something in their lives with an opportunity that they may not even recognise immediately. But to take the opportunity when it's given seems to me to be fundamental as well to everything that all our panel have been saying.
Thank you very much, Charles. Any of the young people want to come in? It's not compulsory. You won't get lines if you don't. Yes?
Tommy, what motivated you to do what you do?
What
motivated you to do what you do now? To become a boxer? What motivated you to do it and get up out of bed to do it?
So, I love fighting, I'll be honest. I'm not going to try and make a good story about it. I do like having a fight. But it's when you start being a boxer and there's that winning or losing, you want to be a winner. So in order to be a winner, you've got to be prepared to do what winners do. And when you're not as talented as half the boxers out there, you've got to work a little bit harder and you've got to be willing to make a few more sacrifices. And I honestly, genuinely believe the only reason I'm sat here and half relevant is because I've persevered. And that's why I made that HSP strategy on the box football program. I'll argue with anybody that it don't work. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's bulletproof. The proof's in the pudding. Look at this kid here. You've just got to keep going. But you know what? I wanted to have a good quality of life. I wanted to leave a legacy. I want my kids to be proud of me. I said earlier in the interview, I don't know who it was with, I said, when it's all said and done, and when I'm probably no longer here, what will they say about when I'm no longer here? And hopefully they'll say, you know what, he wasn't the greatest to fight, he was alright, but above all, he was a good kid. I want to use the boxing as a vehicle to try and change a load of other kids' lives. Boxing's not going to define me. I don't know if it's done or it's nearly done or what, I ain't got a clue yet, but the next chapter's the most important one for me. That's what gives me the most. Makes me feel good in here, like I sleep good on my night. Helps me with conscience as well.
Thanks very much. Yes, at the back.
Thanks, Alan. There's a lot of icons on the stage, very successful people, and I guess you've all got a story of perhaps when you've been called lucky. Luck's something, just picking up on Tommy's theme. Look, I don't believe in luck. It's the hard work that you put in, plus an opportunity, grabbing that opportunity when it comes along. But you've earned that right through the hard work. So is there any of the icons want to share a story of that moment, perhaps they look back on where they've been putting the hard work in and seen an opportunity and grabbed it?
Anyone? While you're thinking about that, I just want Catherine Batch to say a word. Catherine's there as a living, breathing example of social mobility and of what Sewell Group has done. Catherine, just say a bit about where you were and where you are now.
Well, sort of one of my main issues career was I contracted a disease called encephalitis, which is inflammation of the brain. So because of that, I had to have a lot of time out of school, which obviously set me back quite a bit. So I was never aiming to do much in particular. I don't think my teachers thought that either, or my parents. So as a part-time job, I thought I'll go and work in the local convenience store for the Sewell retail. And here I am, 17 and a half years later, still here. I'm now a director and shareholder of the company.
That is incredible story. Right, anybody want to respond to the...
I could just say one thing, Alan, if you don't mind. I think what's interesting is it doesn't matter how many awards you've... And I think it's a bit like football. It doesn't matter how many trophies you've won, it's what you do today. And it's really central. You can have a shitload of qualifications and all the rest of that. That's absolutely, it doesn't matter. It levels out. Whether you've failed your 11 plus, passed it, been to Eton, been to Oxford, been to Hull, been to Leeds, been to Wakefield, it doesn't matter. There's a point by which it levels out. And it's not about how many BAFTAs you've won, how many awards you've got. It's about what you do on the day. So to me, it's a bit like sport. So every time you go out, it's a performance. And I think that's central to some of the themes that has come across that, you know, you never rest on any laurels. It's quite existential, I think. It's about what happens this day now.
Very good, John. Anybody, any other questions? Yes.
Tommy, have you ever been like afraid of falling down?
Oh mate, let me tell you, right? I was so scared on Saturday in New York. You won't imagine. It's horrible. I tell you, hello.
Wrong number.
Do you know, Michael Katsina's fight, okay? I was laid there in my bed about 3 hours before the fight, and I'm absolutely bricking it. I'm so scared. Not scared of getting hurt because I know that the pain is going to subside. I know it might clear up and like these bruises will be gone in a couple of days. Do you know what I mean? So that's going to go. But it's the fear of getting beat, it's fear of losing, and scared of getting knocked out in front of thousands of people like I've done before at Neil Stadium. He's done against the kid from West Hull. But yeah, 100% I've been scared. But do you know what? Fear can do two things. Yeah, okay. Fear, it's like fire. It can either heat up your home, it can cook fear, or it can burn you down and totally kill you or burn your state. You know what I mean? And that's not good. You've got to learn how to control it, and through experience and all the years of fighting and working, I've learned how to control it. But don't be scared of feeling that fear. You've got to use it as fuel. You've got to embrace it, and I promise you, it's a good energy. It'll make you perform if you use it in the correct way. It'll keep you sharp. You know, a deer, yeah. A deer, when he's got the lights in his eyes, okay. It's fear what makes it jump that high and jump over the barrier, okay? It's an adrenaline. Fear can do amazing things for you if you know how to use it. So yeah, don't be scared of being scared.
Any other questions? Yes.
Just a question for Justine and for you, Alan, as well.
Yeah.
Do you think there's enough social mobility in politics? And if not, what could be done to improve it?
The answer is no. There's not enough social mobility in politics. In fact, there was a report, I think by the Sutton Trust, which is the charity that measures all of this, that says it's becoming increasingly rare for someone who hasn't been to university to be either a member of parliament or a cabinet minister. A tiny fraction, something like 5% now. That would have been a much bigger percentage back in. I came through the trade union movement. Lots of people did. They were miners, or they were sheet metal workers, or they were shipbuilders, and they came into politics through the trade union movement. The trade union movement shrunk down to. They still try their best, but there's only 6 million now compared to 13 million back in the 70s. So that route's closed off, but there was also a period where, because the three party leaders, which at that time was David Cameron, Ed Miliband, Nick Clegg, Lib Dems, all seem to have come through the same route. They do a PPE at Oxford or Cambridge, they come in as a special advisor, a seat is found for them, the next minute they're running to be Prime Minister of the country with no discernible experience in between. And I think that's a factor that's concerned a lot of politicians on all sides. Of course, the answer lies in the local constituency associations and party branches, in our case, who select their candidates. And I do think there is a change coming. When I left Parliament, there was a postman like me elected for the Tories in Cornwall, a guy called Scott Mann.
Yeah, he had to deliver his opponent's leaflets.
Yeah. He's actually a working postman. Now, I went straight up to him, because lots of people say, oh, I was a postal worker. No, you weren't. You're a bloody Christmas casual. That's not the same thing at all. But this lad was a postman. Yeah. And so you know, that's in a party that, forgive me, Justine, is not renowned for, you know, choosing ex-postmen. Old Etonians, yes, but not ex-postmen. So I think there is a change abroad on that, but it needs to change a lot for Parliament to more reflect the public in terms of its social class makeup, let alone its ethnicity and its gender. Justine?
I'll be a bit controversial as well. So I think you're right that the party system feels like it's atrophied a bit, and it has increasingly become almost professionalised. And you're asking about the lucky break. My lucky break was getting selected to fight Putney. I didn't know anyone really who was in that room, but just tried to play to my strengths. I knew I'd be totally different to the other, obviously, 2 blokes who were older than me that were turning up. But I mean, it's not just the House of Commons. The House of Lords is like who central, isn't it? So it's both parts really that need quite a lot of change. And I think if you change both parts and stop having this other bit of it, the House of Lords, that is just, it's the ultimate network. And it's really southeastern London centric, because of course, how do you get to know all the people who made the decisions was like generally living kind of nearer than home. And it's another really good example of where we miss out on talent that could be brought to bear on making laws and decisions completely. And I have a final point that annoyed me the other day. I saw a member of the House of Lords who'd been ennobled to go into government to do a job, and they then left after 12 months to do another job, and they're still in the House of Lords because they got a life peerage. I think that's all wrong. So it's not just the Commons that needs to, I think, be quite dramatically changed. And for me, this whole thing around Brexit, it's got to be a catalyst for really saying, how can we change the system more fundamentally to start getting the right people taking decisions with, as Alan says, the right life experience. And the really inspiring thing for me around social mobility and everything is it turns out that the people with the most life experience are these people we call disadvantaged, but actually they've learned tons of stuff. And we need to turn that into an advantage, and that's what I'm about doing. And I think the faster we can do that, then the more we'll naturally level up opportunity.
We're going to form a coalition government. Tommy?
Can I just give the kids some real quick advice? Yeah. I think a bit like I don't understand politics, by the way. Okay, and I probably want to know what social mobility meant at your age. But real quick bit of advice, get a piece of paper when you get home tonight, or do it on the back of that, and write a bucket list. Just write 10 things what you want in your life or what you want to achieve. Okay, in terms of job, career, materialistic, whatever you want, alright? Okay, and then reach out to somebody and speak to them about the execution of getting those things. Okay, the strategy of getting them things. It's real simple. You won't know how to go and get it unless you know what you want. Do you know what you want to do when you're older? Do you? Yeah? What do you want to do?
I want to join the army, then go to the SAS.
Okay, what about you?
Fair enough.
Yeah, do you know? No, do you know? That's what I mean, so most of you don't know. Spend some time thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? Find out what you want to do. When you know what you want to do, then come and see one of us lot, or your mum, or your dad, your aunt, your uncle, and say, how do I get that? Because we've got twice as much life experience. We've been through all the things you've already probably experiencing now, and we've got the answers for you. So find out what you want to do first.
There you go, that's your homework. Don't come to see me if you want to join us. I'm really qualified. Gentlemen here.
Godwin Roberts, the Marvel College. About 10 years ago, there was a lot of talk around regeneration. I live in Preston Road, by the way, and Preston Road became a focal point for that. 10 years on, we have loads of brand new buildings, a lot of homes, new homes being rebuilt. Sadly for me, I haven't seen a lot of regeneration in terms of lives. So, although we have brand new facilities, homes, we still have a lot of deprivation, we still have a lot of poverty, we still have a lot of social issues, with neighbors. People are still unemployed. Social mobility, for me, in that sense, what is it for you? Because that's a story going back 10 years, and in terms of transformation, it's very much around facilities rather than lives. Where does that fit in your plan?
Preston Road was part of the New Deal for communities, but I don't think anyone thought that just the new buildings and the new houses was going to solve it all. There was a number of issues that needed to be addressed. But Justine, do you want to pick up on that?
I think it's going back to seeing people as this most important resource that Britain's got, and that in the end you can build new roads, you can improve the train system, which does need it, I know. But what's going to make the difference is the people logging on to broadband, the people getting onto the tube train in my community, and their ability to be successful. So the two have to go hand in hand, and I think just generally for politicians, it always feels quite easy to open a nice shiny road or whatever, and it's a lot harder to do the long-term investment in people. But ultimately that's what really changes things, and it's back to system fix stuff with politics. This stuff pays back in, this stuff that Tommy will do will pay back in 10, 20, 30 years time. Well, that'll be after, all of us are long gone in politics, but it doesn't mean it's not the very best investment that we can make. And we need to change things around so that we're able to do proper long-term sustained investment in people, and not just short-term fixes that everyone wants to chop and change because it's a different government now and they want to do their thing instead.
Can I share a story about Preston Road, which you may know about? I know you certainly do at the back. So does Paul. We entered into a project prior to 2017 with Archbishop Sentimo Academy. We approached the City of Culture for some financing. We didn't get it, that's what happens. And we worked with Archbishop Sentimo, my wife and I, on a project called Ocho, which was about 4 men from Hull who went to fight in the Spanish Civil War. Jane worked with these students, they were phenomenal. I've seen a lot of plays, I've never seen it so moving as these kids. Some of you will have seen that play. 17 kids from Archbishop Sentimo took place in the play. We did it at Archbishop Sentimo, 2017, 2018. Then we decided to tour it around East Yorkshire, so we took it to Howden. This was quite a significant tour. We were reaching out to the west. We also took it to the gentrification of Beverley, standing ovations. And Jane said, because it's about Spanish Civil War, why don't we try and take it to Spain? So I used a bit of my magical John Godber OBE, and we got a contact in Sitges, which is near Barcelona, which has the RADA of Europe. So we took this play with 17 students, supported by the Sewell Group, many thanks for that. Flew them all, I went on train because I don't fly. Flew them all out, some of them had never been out of Hull before, some of them had been to China, but not to Spain, fair enough. And they performed this play in the Institute of the Arts in Barcelona. It was a standing ovation. Two of those kids got awarded scholarships on the day. Each scholarship was worth £50,000. One of them, Ellie, is there now, just come back from seeing her. One, Corey, goes in September. And of the other 15 students in that play, all of them have been offered places at major drama schools in this country. Now that story's not been told, because we're a bit shy about publishing ourselves. That is a major story about success and regeneration and human achievement just down from Preston Road. These kids live there. It has changed their lives. It was those who saw it, it was extraordinary. The point being is it does work. But I just re-underline, you can't just do it once. You can't just do it once. And similarly, I'm going to respond to you, Lee, about City of Culture. It's got to be, you've got to keep the kettle boiling. And that's the oxygen of money. So it's not about they had 35 million for that and tuppence for that. That money has got to be put in. And I'm going to mention something else while I'm on the yours. I wonder whether... We've
only got till 6 o'clock.
No, it's fine. It's all right. My time is my own. Where is the Northern Powerhouse? Where is the Northern Powerhouse? That's the question I'd like to put.
Disappeared with Theresa May, I think. Matt, you wanted to talk about the question here.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think I work for the council. I'm not a politician, I first have to say, and I think money's had to be spent in the city. The city needed money spending on it, And actually, you know, we've had to work with businesses, and businesses have wanted to work with councils and politicians to create employment opportunities. And actually, the city collectively has been very successful at that over the past few years in comparison to what it's done previously. Having said that, there are still around 44,000 people in the city that aren't feeling the benefit of the economic success that the city is having for some. And I think that's where actually the social mobility pledge, politicians can't do it on their own, councils can't do it on their own, businesses can't do it on their own. Actually, this is where actually we all need to sit down and say, actually, how are we going to do things around here? You know, council in terms of how we engage, how we buy stuff off businesses in terms of how they employ people, who they interview, you know, where they give people a bit more support, where they might need it, and encourage them and give them that step up the ladder. So I think that's the stage where we're at now. The sort of low-hanging fruit, for want of a word, the stuff that's easy to do. Yes, you get a great company like Siemens that comes in, and lots of people will go and get jobs there. What you find actually, those people probably come from other jobs to get those jobs, and you get a bit of a domino effect. But what about the people that are further down that queue? How do we give them, and there'll be thousands of them with great potential who just haven't had the opportunity. How do we reach them? And that's really where that collective working comes from me.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Neil Cudgel.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a word of praise to this young chap down here, because even at 16, 18, I would be paralysed by the fear of sitting here and speaking. And for you to speak up and ask a question in a room full of good lad, man, such great.
Well done, David.
Just a quick word. I'd like to, not on anybody's behalf, I'd like to thank Paul Sewell, because unless people stand up and do things, nothing happens. It needs somebody to stand up for anything.
I'm going to let Paul Sewell have the last word.
Really? Well, there is a place to stand. I'm surprised the social mobility guys led by Justine have not mentioned this before now. It would be nice if the organisations here could put a little bit of action behind the words and make sure they are seen as they go out signing that pledge. That's a leading law firm, leading newspaper, the Coyle Academy, the NHS. You can't wait, no, sorry.
Well, look, on that note, can I thank all of you? Can I thank the students from Andrew Marvell? You've been much better behaved than the adults in this room. Can I thank everyone who's been involved with this? Can I thank our panel? Although it's called Business Week, this isn't just a panel of business people. We've got the arts, we've got sport, we've got local government, we've got the NHS represented here, and I think they were absolutely brilliant icons. Can I thank Justine for coming? Justine, I know how busy an MP's life is. I'm not sure where Parliament's sitting at the moment, or whether you could get through to Parliament if it was. Yeah, but it's great that you came over, and the document, Good Grows, is worth a read. I've had a chance to have a look through it before we started. And don't forget to sign the Social Mobility Pledge. But I also want to thank the Sewell team, 4 very important people, some of which are behind there. So Gabby, Hannah, Simon and Becky, who have made this incredibly complex arrangement. Thanks to Sewell Group for making it happen, but thanks to you for coming. Thank you.